Hello, this is Sarah Lister from Sheffield Digital, and for this interview, I'm asking Bikram about his work as a technical lead for AI at AMRC Factory 2050. So Bikram, where did your interest in the field of machine learning and data science begin?
Yep. So I would say it first started off with like a general interest in programming. So during my first year of university, I was doing a degree in electronics and communication engineering at University of Sheffield. We had a introduction to C programming module during my first year, and that was like my first ever taste of programming. And then I got really interested in that. And then during my summer, after I finished my first year, just during my summer break, I took few online courses, and I started with this course in Udemy, which is like a boot camp in Python. And so Python is like a really beginner friendly language, which I was enjoying learning. And then I started looking into like what are the top uses of Python really, how is it applied in industry? And one of the top searches that came up, or even still comes up now, is data science, machine learning, and AI. And so what I did was I took another course during that same period, just again on Udemy, related to how to use Python for these different applications of like machine learning and AI. And slowly, that's kind of like how my interest in that field began. After that, after the summer of first year, I just kept on learning more and more about it, again, using online courses. We also had multiple programming modules at university as well, related to programming in embedded systems, though that kind of like helped me expand my programming knowledge. And then after my second year, so during the summer, I was working as like a research student for a professor at the University of Sheffield. And that was, again, like my first professional experience in the field. Then for like another 2 months during that same summer, I worked as an intern machine learning developer at Factory 2050, where I'm currently based. And again, that was looking at time series data to detect anomalies for like a CNC lathe machine. Then I just kept on learning about like deep learning, and I just like found it fascinating how it is different from like traditional software development, in the sense that you give the machine loads of data and you tune the algorithm, and then it figures out itself how to kind of almost like a normal human would. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was like a light bulb moment in exactly where I was like, oh, I need to do machine learning, but just over the years of just keeping up with the progress of the field, which is really rapidly evolving. And then just through all the different experiences that I just mentioned, that's how I got interested and introduced to this field.
And was there anything in particular that influenced or inspired you to choose to do that degree?
Yes. So during my A levels, I was quite interested in just like, well, embedded systems. So how you can program like Raspberry Pis or like Arduinos, and then also just kind of like electronics in general, about like semiconductors and everything. And then the degree that Sheffield University offered, that was kind of like the perfect match with good balance between the programming side of things as well as like the hardware side of things. So that's how I kind of went into that degree.
And what were your A levels in?
Because, well, I come from India, so it was a bit different, but equivalent, I would say. I did like physics, chemistry, maths, and English.
And do you think that your degree at the University of Sheffield has had a strong impact on your career development so far?
Yes, definitely, I would say so. As I just mentioned, that's kind of like how I first got introduced to programming in the first place. And then throughout uni, we had different programming modules that was mainly to do with like embedded systems. So you use languages like C and C++ for those applications. So yeah, we had modules related to that course, languages, as well as we also did multiple projects related to embedded systems throughout the degree. And then also just, I think, doing an engineering degree in general, it kind of like helps you build those like transferable skills, which you can kind of take to industry. And then almost, even if right now what I'm doing is quite different from electronics, it still helps me build those building blocks of like just like logical thinking, and then how you go about like solving a problem, just break it down into smaller chunks and then go about solving it. So yeah, I would say that was a massive help from the university when I was doing my degree. I also got introduced to the AMRC actually through the University of Sheffield. So during our second year, we did a project which is called like Ships, which is like a 6 weeks project with like a partner. And then what you do is you kind of like just propose solutions to problems that a company might be facing, and then or like the company's partners might be facing. So that's how I actually got introduced to AMRC.
That sounds really good. So you're actually getting some sort of real life insight into what companies are doing and how you can apply the skills that you're learning.
Exactly. So yeah. So yeah, during that second year project, you don't really need to like develop a solution. You kind of like just brainstorm ideas and you think about like what can be done, or you just come up with a proposal, because that period is just too short to actually develop like a working solution to a problem. But you still get to talk to people who are in industry with certain problems. And then yeah, it was a great experience. Just you work in a group of 5 or 6, and then you go about like proposing a solution in the end.
And can you please like briefly describe how you went from being an intern and then to becoming a software developer and then into your role now? Like, how has that journey progressed?
Yep. So as I mentioned, I was an intern developer during my summer of second year. So I was working over like 2 months at like IMG, which is the part of AMRC that I work in. I was working into using time series data and classifying whether the parts coming off a CNC machine are like defective or non-defective. I really enjoyed that internship. It was over 2 months, and that was like a great working environment. So, well, after I finished university, I immediately applied for like a full-time role at AMRC again. And so this time I was like as a software developer. And as soon as I started, a lot of the projects that I was involved in was to do with like machine learning and deep learning, and a lot of like computer vision as well. So how you kind of like can process images to find regions of interest or like things of interest, that sort of stuff. And then yeah, just kept on like getting more and more of those projects. And another good thing about the AMRC is like you'll get put into projects which you are really interested in as well. So because I was interested in that area, it just kept on, meaning that, well, I just worked and got better and better at those skills. And then after being in that role for around like 1.5, 2 years, I also got some project management responsibilities. And so, yeah, I did quite enjoyed them as well. And then I think it was during the summer of last year where from being a software developer, I was promoted into like the technical lead for AI, which is my current role at AMRC.
Mm-hmm. And what does that job involve? What are you doing on a sort of day-to-day basis?
Yep. So a variety of things, really. I mean, it depends on which period of the year we are in. Currently, I would say my time is mainly focused on like development work. So like actually coding, which is well, the thing that I enjoy the most about it anyway. So yeah, just doing a lot of development work. And then you also, as part of my role, I also have to kind of like speak to customers, know what problems they are facing, and then see if we can come up with solutions, mainly in the field of, because that's what I specialize in like artificial intelligence. So mainly see if we can use those techniques and apply it to their problems. I also have to like review reports written by my colleagues, and also have to like write reports by myself to make sure that everything that is supposed to be in the report is actually there, and to the best of our knowledge. And so, yeah, I would say that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say are the core skills that those tasks involve?
Yep. So core skills, I would say number one is again like programming. Just you need to know how to program. Like my go-to language is Python, and well, Python just because that's what I'm most comfortable in, and also it's the most widely used language for the kind of programming that I do. So anything related to like AI and machine learning, there's like extensive resources online available for Python. But any other programming language like C or C++ is equally as good. And programming languages are like transferable. If you learn one, you can easily try and learn the other one. So I would say programming, obviously you need to have like a logical thinking approach. So as soon as you get a problem, you kind of just break it down into smaller chunks and then see how you can actually use programming techniques to actually, or like code up like a solution for it. You also need to be able to keep up with the research that's in the area. So this field of like AI and machine learning is rapidly evolving over the last, well, like 6-7 years. and then you need to be up to date with like, well, what's the latest and the best, and then how you can make your task a lot easier by just keeping up with the knowledge, because a lot of the stuff like someone else would have kind of like already done it in a different industry, maybe not manufacturing, but in a different industry. And it takes the skill of like how to use what someone else has already done in a different industry and bring it and then solve the problem that you or your clients are facing. So with that, I just keep myself updated with like the latest kind of like papers that's coming out, subscribe to like newsletters, which I can link below in the description, that you can subscribe to, and then you get like a weekly newsletter of what's the best and then how the field is developing.
And I know you've talked about this a little bit already, but how would you describe the work culture of the AMRC and how they support career development, which obviously they've been very supportive towards your progress?
Yes, so I would say like the work culture is absolutely fantastic. I mean, yeah, I look forward to going into work every single day. You get to work with like loads of talented people, obviously. Everyone is lovely in there, and then well, the best thing about it is that you don't just work with software developers, you work with like multidisciplinary engineers, because a lot of the projects that we do, it doesn't involve just software developers or mechanical engineers. It's kind of like a mix of like 3 or 4 different fields. And then also sometimes it's good to like get a perspective from other engineers as well, not just the ones that's in your field. So it kind of like helps you see how you can go about solving a problem in a different way. And so, yeah, I absolutely like the work culture in there. In terms of career development, again, we've got like loads of opportunities for that. So recently I was in the Big Data and AI Expo in London. We get to attend like conferences. It's coming kind of like opening up now again, just because the last 2 years have been COVID. And then, yeah, we also get sent on like training courses. So recently I was in a training course for like machine vision, where you learn about like different types of like cameras and lenses and lighting, and how you can use those in like your machine vision application. I was recently also in like a project management course by the Institution of Mechanical Engineers. And then also during your free time, or like if a project requires a certain skill, you are encouraged to take up online courses from platforms such as like Coursera and Udemy. And also because we are part of the University of Sheffield, we also get resources from the Sheffield Uni as well. So we get like premium access to like LinkedIn Learning. And then the course that the university's IT department sometimes hold every now and then, we are allowed to kind of like freely sign up to those courses and then use it as a refresher or just like learn something new. So there's loads of opportunities for career development. And obviously when you are working in research and development, it's not just you are doing the same thing over and over again. You are literally like learning new skills when you are on the job as well. So all in all combined, yeah, it's been really great for my like overall career development.
And what are you learning about at the moment? What sort of projects are really capturing your attention?
Yeah, so in terms of projects, recently I've been involved in quite a few. So one of them is to do with classifying defects in aerospace components for one of our partners. So that's a problem in machine learning called like classification, where you get an image and then you're supposed to tell like which class of defect it is. So yeah, that's using like deep learning techniques. Another one I was recently involved in was condition monitoring for like an electric screwdriver. So once the process is completed, you tell either it was like a defective or a non-defective one. And if it was defective, like what kind of defect it was. I've also been involved in kind of like a project for one of our construction partners, where we tried to reduce the time taken for like quality assurance by fixing a camera overhead and then using AI techniques to kind of detect objects within the scene, so that we know that the objects that are supposed to be in like a particular place are actually there or not. So yeah, just like a wide variety of projects related to that. And in terms of kind of just like learning, other than the job, I'm learning about like ML, this field called ML Ops. So ML Ops is when you take a model that's been trained and then you put it into production. So how you can monitor whether your machine learning predictions are actually beneficial to the customer or not. And then if the model needs retraining, how do you go about doing so? Stuff like that.
Sounds really varied, really interesting.
Yes.
And what's the sort of size, roughly the size of the team that you're sort of working with?
Yep. So within AMRC, there's like different departments, and the one that I'm working on, that I worked at, is called the Integrated Manufacturing Group. And so roughly, I think we are about like 80 to 90 engineers at the moment. And within that, we have got like different teams. So the team that I'm part of is called the Computer Vision team, and we've got like 6 of us at that particular team right now. But like I mentioned, you get to work with people from like all the different teams. So even though I work for the Computer Vision team, I'm involved with like mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, like everyone along from the entire group. So yeah, that's really good, how I mentioned, to kind of like bounce off ideas from each other, and then also like just learn more about their field as well.
And what's the kind of balance that you have at the moment? Obviously, this has probably changed during your however many years you've had now with the AMRC. What's the balance between how much you work from home and how much you actually spend in person at the factory, for example?
Yes, so it kind of like, again, depends on what kind of projects you're working on. Just over like a couple of months ago, I had to be in quite a lot because just of the type of projects I was working in. But on minimum, we are required to be in the office for like 2 days a week, and the rest we can work from home, which is what I'm currently doing right now. But if you actually want to go to the office, if someone wants to go in 5 days a week, they are more than welcome to do so. But yeah, so again, it kind of like depends really.
What resources or approaches would you recommend for someone who is really keen to start exploring the option to work in these fields that you've talked about?
Yep. So I would say, first of all, try and get your kind of like core programming knowledge in hand. And if you want like an easy one to start with, I would recommend Python, because it's the most beginner friendly language out there. And also, as I already mentioned, the resource for like AI and machine learning using Python is, because it's the most popular one, the resource list is exhaustive as well. So yep, try and learning Python. If you are not doing so already in university or in school or college, there are online resources, especially in like Udemy and Coursera, which I can link below. So once you get like the core programming knowledge in hand, I would recommend, again, take like a course which is related to AI and machine learning. There's like loads out there, and it's coming out even more and more now that the field is becoming popular. So take one of those courses, and then just kind of like start like a side project, I would say. That's the best way to go about it, because it's very easy to get stuck in tutorial land, which is you're doing tutorials after tutorials, and then you're never confident whether you'll be able to actually use those, whatever you have learned or not. So there are websites such as like kaggle.com where you can go and find data sets, like public data sets, and you can download those data set, whichever interests you, or like whichever field interests you, and then just kind of like start playing around with the data, see if you can clean the data, if you can build like a classifier or like a regression model where you can predict some of the features in the data. And then after that, again, to keep yourself updated, I would recommend just subscribing to like newsletters or reading blogs about it, again, which you can link below in the description. And then that will really help you kind of just stay in the loop of what's going on, and then learn new techniques as they're coming out, because this field is like so rapidly evolving. You need to be kind of like in the loop to know what's going on around. So yeah, I would say coding in Python first, and then take courses related to AI and machine learning if you don't do so already in school or university, and then just start off with a side project, and then you'll just kind of like know whether that field really interests you. And because there's like loads of different areas within AI and machine learning as well, it's not just like one single thing. So yeah, you kind of like have a taste of each of them, and then you'll know which one is the best direction for you, really.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, really appreciate your advice and for sharing your experience and your knowledge. Thank you for a really great interview.
No worries. Thank you very much.